because the other folks didn't come in on time. Hello, friends. How are you? The question I asked TikTok a little earlier was, do you have the correct diagnosis? And if you don't have the correct diagnosis, what could that lead to? Could that lead to mistreatment or undertreatment? The answer is yes. But guess what? Let me allay some of your fears. You actually may do just fine. So, I'm Dr. Regina. I'm a board certified psychiatrist, and I'm also a board certified lifestyle medicine physician. So, I'm double boarded in an area that most people have no knowledge about. But lifestyle medicine is basically just using your lifestyle, what you eat, how you move, what you watch, what you abstain from watching to help you have optimal health and wellness. So excited to see you all. I see someone over here on TikTok that's watching. And I would love to invite you, but I don't know if you're ready. So I'm just going to say, hey, Mary, how are you? So for those of you who are over here on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube, let me just get to the point. And TikTok, I'll leave you guys on for a little bit longer. Let me get to the main point here. At Led Life, we like to listen without labels. What do I mean by that? I like to listen to you and just get to know you and hear what's going on. And I have to put something down for insurance because insurance isn't going to reimburse if you're using insurance. They're not going to reimburse unless there's a label, unless there's a diagnosis, okay? They don't really accept rule outs, which are things that we'll use when we're an inpatient, like such and such and such, rule out, whatever. This could be going on, it may not be going on, but just want whoever's reading this note to be thinking about that going forward. But I am the queen of giving an adjustment disorder diagnosis. Adjustment disorder just basically means that there's a stressor in your life. And because of that stressor, if we remove that stressor, you wouldn't have symptoms. And I will tell you, I used that a lot when I was younger, when I was in medical school, when I was just finishing or going through residency. I wasn't quite sure what was going on with the patient. I will tell you, now that I'm in my 50s, I'm reverting to use that a whole lot more. And I'll tell you why. Adjustment disorder again means that if we have a stressor, but we took it away, your symptoms will probably go away. The vast majority of people are dealing, especially if you're living in a colonized nation or in a quasi-capitalist nation, you're dealing with stressor, okay? The almighty dollar rules wherever you are, right? You could be in the US, you could be in the UK, you could be in the Caribbean, you could be in Brazil, you could be in an Asian country. It doesn't matter. You know what is the main thing. So because of that, again, looking at insurance, I like to use the least restrictive label or diagnosis. I don't want to just go to a big gun because once it's in your chart, it's in your chart. And it's harder to get those things removed. For example, African American men are often misdiagnosed, overdiagnosed with schizophrenia. Once it's in the chart, though, it's hard to get that removed, right? Because it's out there. It's like something being on social media. It's kind of hard to get that removed because unless you go back to the person that originally diagnosed it and says, I can prove that I don't have this diagnosis, get this off my chart, issue a correction. Guess what? All the notes before that aren't necessarily going to have a correction. It's a very good medical system, a very good medical doctor that's going to go back and do an addendum for all the notes, for all the times that they saw you to say previously diagnosed as current diagnosis is. That's very uncommon. Bipolar disorder, that's another one. And here's another thing that's really big for me, which is why I like those Z codes at the back of the DSM. It'll say things like person in a single family home or person with difficulties with bullying at school or person who has immigrated from another country. You know, those are just random thoughts, but there are Z codes in the back of the book because, hello, if you are a white Caucasian male who comes from money, old money, let's say, and you deal with depression, your experience is very different than a person who has immigrated from New Guinea, who has moved to the United States and is living with relatives, but they aren't her biological parents. Her experience with depression is very different than your experience. Different, not less. Depression is depression, okay? It's cancer of the soul as far as I'm concerned. So whether you're the Caucasian male who comes from old money, who's struggling, versus the person that comes from, again, New Guinea, who is also struggling. Depression is depression. The same antidepressant might work for you, but the community that you need to get better might be drastically different. Okay? may be drastically different. So that's one of the reasons we kind of try to listen without labels. Number one, so that we can ensure that we've got the right diagnosis. Number two, when I do give you a label, I really want to load the boat. I want to put all the labels in that I'm thinking about, including Z codes, because that changes the trajectory of the person that's looking at this, right? If I'm putting in a Z code, it's telling a person. And if you are a patient and you don't know what a Z code is, you can ask your provider, hey, is there a Z code that's in the back of the DSM or diagnosis that applies to me? Okay. And those are important. Does insurance care? No, not usually. They usually don't cover or add any payment for Z code. So if a person's putting a Z code on, like, that's a bonus. That means that that provider thought enough to go and look in the back and see what else is going on there to add it to your chart. When I have students, not so much people that we've just hired that are working with us, because we allow them the autonomy to work whatever way they want. But if you're a student, right, our students from New York or North Carolina or Walden or other places, usually nurse practitioner students, sometimes MD students, when we see them, I teach them about Z codes. Because if you are going to label a person, first of all, you need to listen first before you give any label, before you give any diagnosis. Then you want to kind of load the boat if this person is dealing with any of the things that could alter the way someone looks at their chart. You want to add those things in because it matters. It really does matter. Okay. So that's about all that I'm going to say on that topic. I am going to end you guys over here and come back and do anger part 3. Who knew that anger was such a popular topic? And for those of you that are watching, wherever you're watching, if there's a particular topic that you want me to talk about, that you want me to teach on, please share that. And yes, for those on TikTok, you can see my full shirt. For those over there, you can only see a part of it. Yes, you know who I voted for, and I'm not ashamed of it. But I don't care really who you vote for as long as you vote. Okay, that's a lie. I do care. I do care who you vote for. I want you to vote for someone with integrity. I want you to vote for someone that's going to enhance your community. There are local elections going on right now. There's an election right now, I believe, in Georgia. And if you're in some of these northeastern, kind of southeastern states, there are elections going on right now. Please vote. Okay, please let your voice be heard. I just talked about a couple of things while I was having this conversation. I talked about insurance and the fact that insurance could give two farts if you put a Z code in, if a provider puts a Z code in. So those who are pressed for time are only going to put what their insurance company they're contracted with requires. And these other things that are just good medicine might not get in there. You have the ability to change that. Yes, you do, by who you vote for. So look into who's in your local election and make sure you vote for somebody. This is who I voted for several years ago. Obviously, they're not running this year, but someone is that I care about, and someone is that I believe in the work that they're doing. And those are the people that I'm going to vote for. Okay, so please get out and vote. Vote, 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 vote. Research first, then vote. Because sometimes we just kind of get sheep mentality. We get herd mentality. It's like, oh, this person's voting for this person, and everybody in my family is voting for this person. Please don't do that. Okay. Please go and research for yourself. It's your individual right to vote. So vote for the person that you've researched and you believe is going to benefit your individual community, benefit the world at large, benefit the nation at large, wherever you happen to be voting, because there's voting going on all over the globe, not just in the United States. We're very US centric when we live here, but there are other people that have primaries. There are other people that have local elections. So please pray for them. And I hope that each and every one of you has a very blessed day on purpose. Take care.